Welcome into Locked On Cougars. As promised, a special edition with Corbin Kaufusi, the former BYU defensive lineman, but now a guy who plays offensive line in the professional ranks. We're going to talk a whole lot of football with him, both professional and BYU. Got all that and more ahead on today's edition of Locked On Cougars.
You are Locked On Cougars, your daily podcast on the BYU Cougars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What is up, everybody? I'm Jake Hatch, your host here on Locked On Cougars, a resident BYU insider. I work for the KSL Sports Zone in Salt Lake City, Utah. Still getting to that used to that new name of our station, our rebrand. But thank you for taking the time to check us out. Thank you for making us your first listen today. We are very proud to be part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where, of course, the motto is your team every day. And as such, we are your only daily podcast focused on the BYU Cougars. Very pleased, though, to be welcoming in Holy smokes. Corbin Kaufusi. Okay, I just screwed that up right off the top there.
No, we look the same.
Okay, I've had people say that. I know better than that. So I'll own that one, Corbin. Corbin Kaufusi joining us, from BYU defensive lineman. Corbin, what is up, my friend?
Nothing much. I'm just back here in Utah now.
Well, okay, first off, welcome back. You just completed your first season with the USFL. I guess we can start there. How was your overall experience playing in a spring league?
You know, it was interesting going into it. I didn't know what to expect. And, you know, a lot of times some of these leagues will fold and whatnot. And it definitely had its, bumps along the way. But overall, it ended up being a really good time. You know, great players. There's a lot of great talent. So it was just nice to get out and compete.
Now, I think most BYU fans probably know this at this point, but if they don't, you actually made a position change at the professional level. You started out with the New Orleans Saints, and correct me if I'm wrong on this timeline, but then when you were let go by the Saints, the way I understand it, you decided to make a position change to play offensive tackle at the professional level. So explain the reasoning behind that first off.
Yeah, I loved playing DN. Loved that all throughout college at BYU. Was the best. And then when I got into, was with the Saints, and after preseason got released, and just sitting there like a bunch of other guys, and my agent's like, not a lot of movement in the D line, but he said there's a couple teams that wanted to see me as an offensive lineman just because of measurables, physical traits, and I was a little bit like, oh no, like let's just keep going for D line. But then after 3 or 4 weeks, I was like, you know what? Yeah, we might as well, and so I made that change, and it ended up working out.
Okay, and I've talked to you a couple of times since then. You and I keep in fairly regular contact. You're up to what, 300 and some odd pounds now? But Corbin, let me be real. I think you're more cut now at 300 whatever pounds you're weighing in at than you were when you played defensive end at BYU.
I feel the same, to be honest. It's kind of weird. It's cool when, you have like those years to just, and, football's your job. And so working out is your job, and like how your body matures to that. So I'm about 325, okay. But yeah, I'm probably the same body fat I was when I was playing DN at BYU.
Well, you stand, okay, are you officially 6'9" or 6'10"? I guess you can answer that question.
So the official, barefoot at the doctor's office, I was like 6'9" and about 3/4.
Oh, okay. So you put on any pair of shoes and you're 6'10" then.
Yeah.
Okay, very cool. So you're officially 6'10". You weigh 325 pounds, and I think anybody who's paid attention to you on social media, they look at that and say, "There's no way that dude that's 325 pounds." But you carry it extremely well. So I guess the question I have is, now you make the transition to playing offensive tackle. You've had a season's worth of film essentially. We'll get to why your season got cut short a little bit here momentarily. But now that you've played almost an entire season playing offensive line, has it lived up to what you expected it to be as an offensive lineman?
Yeah, it's definitely lived up to it. It's got pros and cons for sure. Mm-hmm. I have all the respect now for offensive linemen, because as a defensive lineman, you're just like, oh, those are the big fat guys. Oh no, offensive linemen are not only the smartest guys on the team, but also I would say the most athletic. There's only two positions on the field that you work backwards, and it's offensive line and, secondary guys.
Yeah.
So it's pretty impressive what some of these dudes can do.
Okay, so you played for the Tampa Bay Bandits. You were mainly a right tackle. Did you play any left tackle this year? Like, what positions were you playing?
Yeah, so I kind of was like the swing tackle. I played mostly right, and then if they needed me at left, I'd go over there, and then every now and again I'd play the jumbo tight end.
Jumbo tight end. I knew there was I don't know how many people saw this on social media. I retweeted it the second I saw it. I actually, I watched let's see, you guys played 10 games of the Bandits season. I probably saw 7 of them live. So I made it a point to watch, and I'm a football junkie. Corbin, my wife, it drives her nuts. Football, for me, it's just my drug of choice. I know that sounds awful, but anytime football is on, especially live football, I am going to watch it. But I did not see the game that you caught that pass. So I think you astounded a lot of people nationwide saying, okay, this dude's wearing number 65. Where in the world did he get these hands? But you weren't surprised making that catch, were you?
No, it was one of those things like it was a little surprising because I haven't caught a ball in a game in so long.
Okay.
Like literally the last time I caught a ball in a game was a fake field goal at Utah.
Ah, okay.
Back, I can't remember what year it was. I think it was 2016. But yeah, it'd been years. And so it was fun though. I was like, dang, I forgot how great it is to catch the ball.
I can understand that. And like I said, it made the rounds on social media. It was really cool to see that. And that's the fun part. But your season was cut short. You underwent surgery recently. Can you give us, I guess, a prognosis / an update on where you're at health-wise?
Yeah. So, got rolled up on. Pretty common thing for offensive line. And my ankle kind of got shredded up. So I have a couple of tight ropes put in, attach a few ligaments, and then yeah, so surgery went really well. I'm a week out today from surgery, and I'll probably get the cast off in like a week or so, and then slowly start just rehabbing back to normal.
And folks, lest you think that Corbin's taking it easy with that cast he's got on his, it goes almost up to your knee. I've seen you on social media. You've got like this crutch / peg leg type deal that is still allowing you to get after it in the gym, right? Yeah,
I'm so glad because last time I was on crutches, I was 70 pounds lighter, and I'm like, no wonder it's so much harder on crutches now. But having the peg leg helps a ton.
So, okay, when you are there at the gym, do people just kind of wander over and just kind of gawk at you in a way? Like, who is this dude?
Yeah, like even before the peg leg thing, people would be like, who is this guy? Because I'm kind of, I don't know, I love the gym, but I definitely look awkward sometimes or weird. I don't know, just because I'm such a tall person. But definitely now with the peg leg, people are like, what is going on?
Well, and I'm sure that creates some awesome conversation opportunities as well along the way.
For sure.
So obviously you said you're just over a week or so out of surgery here. So you're probably going to be rehabbing, I would guess, for the next couple of months at minimum. So with regards to your future in the pro game, do you feel like your time in the USFL will yield an opportunity maybe to get back to the NFL? Where do things stand on that front?
If anything, I look at it, it was a great opportunity to just get reps at the position for me, because that's something, switching positions in the NFL is not the greatest thing, but I'm glad I was able to do it. But now I'm just behind on reps. Everyone's been playing positions for years. And so it was great for reps, great to get some film out there. And yeah, we'll just kind of see, won't really know until, maybe a team comes calling. But yeah, I'm overall pleased with it.
That's good to hear. All right. I want to talk a little more in depth about BYU in particular, your observations as a former Cougar. We'll get to that momentarily. But first, we need to talk about our friends over at Built Bar. Corbin, have you ever had a Built Bar?
I have.
Okay. Do you like them? I guess that's the number one question people are going to ask.
I do. I can't remember what flavor it was, but I was at BYU last offseason, and I had it, and I was like, this is delicious.
Well, they've got a whole wall of them now. I don't know if you've seen that in that new locker.
Yeah, I won't lie. I went in there and I was like, put some in my bag.
I'm going to have you steal some for me. But if you guys want to try the best tasting protein bars, in my opinion, I absolutely love them. They just launched the cookie, not the cookie dough. It is the brownie chunk. batter, the best protein bar on the market. That is the best Built Bar they have ever made. They are bringing it back for a limited time. If you want to still take advantage and get an opportunity to get that, get to Built.com right now. While you're there, we'll save you some coin as well. Use the promo code LOCKED15. That's LOCKED15 for 15% off your order, or just have Corbin steal them for you along the way. Either way, yeah. But regardless, it's Built.com. The best part is, Corbin knows this, all BYU football players have that name, image, and likeness deal with Built Bar, taking care of those athletes, so you can help support that mission by supporting our friends at Built Bar. Once again, promo code LOCKED15 at Built.com. Get enjoy the best tasting protein bars, and do it with our friends at Built Bar. Thank you once again for making Locked On Cougars your first listen today. We are very proud to be part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We're on YouTube. Corbin's doing a video podcast with me. We were talking about setting this up. He's like, "You're doing it via video now." I'm like, "Yeah, we're on YouTube and everything." So
yeah, I'm like, "Whoa, this is different." This is different. I like it.
I had you in person once upon a time. We did that. Maybe we'll do an in-person one at some point down the road as well. But let's talk a little bit about BYU. Actually, with that name, image, and likeness still that Built Bar has with BYU athletes, you were too late you graduated too early, I guess is what I should say, to take advantage of NIL legislation. But you have former teammates who are still at BYU who are benefiting from it. What is your perspective on NIL? Is it something you would have liked to have had an opportunity to collect on as a student athlete?
Oh, absolutely. But it's also one of those things where, a lot of guys are like, "Oh man, I wish I were in it." But I'm just, every athlete now that didn't have it is just so happy that they're doing it now for the athletes today. Because, it was something that we've always wanted and always thought it was just a no-brainer.
Well, and I think that's the thing about it. I think everybody out there that had half a brain saw that, okay, the NCAA is collecting billions, coaches are getting paid millions, and these student athletes over here, yeah, okay, the education part is great. Let's acknowledge that. That's hundreds of thousands of dollars in certain cases with regards to the amount of education benefit you're getting. But when you're generating literally billions with a B, I think everybody's like, okay, there needs to be a little more equitable sharing with these student athletes. So have you had a chance to talk with any of the guys that you were teammates with or maybe are still connected to? I know your younger brother's up at the University of Utah and Corbin Kaufusi. Have you talked to them about their experience? And I guess, can you kind of give us a sense of guys who are in it and how they are enjoying it, or if they're not enjoying it?
Yeah, it's kind of like the Wild West. Me and my brother talk about it all the time. Oh, both my brothers. But it's like we've had a lot of, my brother, other family that are still playing, they approach us and they're like, "How do you navigate this?" Because typically it's basically the same thing that we do as NFL athletes now, but just now it's on the college level. It's like, how do you approach businesses and stuff? And so I think a lot of athletes love it, but they just need a little help on trying to figure out that whole world. Like, okay, how do I approach these businesses, or how do I leverage this to the best? And the ones that do figure that out, I think, are just loving every minute of it. And I think there's a lot of other athletes that I feel like me, my brother, other people, we even have a company to help these athletes get to that point where they're using it to the fullest.
I was going to ask you about that. I know that Bronson founded an NIL company. You can kind of fill in the gaps here. Are you part of that? So what's the name of the company, and what does it do?
It's called Connect NIL, and basically what it is we're just a marketplace for athletes. So any athlete signs up for free, and then we have businesses apply and put basically job things out there. Like, we want an athlete to come and sit on our business, do a signing, this or that, and athletes can go on there, read the descriptions, and if it's something in their area, they can apply for it. And yeah, so it's basically if an athlete just wants to find deals on their own, we're not affiliated with any agencies and stuff like that. Yeah. It's just it's basically free things for them.
You guys, the way I would interpret that, you're the broker. You're there to allow these two parties to connect, and then they can take care of the rest on their end, right?
Exactly. We like to think of it as like the Uber.
Okay. Yeah. I can dig that. I like that analogy, and that's really cool. So it's Connect NIL, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah, if any of our listeners, if you're looking to get into the NIL space, you want to have BYU athletes, as Corbin said, you want to have them make an appearance at your business, well, there's your opportunity to kind of link up with them. How many approximate student athletes do you guys have currently on the marketplace?
So we have over 1,000.
Oh, sweet.
With athletes from all across the nation, which is pretty awesome. And then we all have businesses, that range from east to west coast. And so no matter what, there's always something an athlete can get out of it, and the businesses. Like we're just there to help both sides get the most out of it.
Well, I think that's the cool thing about it, is giving these kids an opportunity to just make their lives a little bit easier. I guess the easiest example, Jaron Hall told us during spring ball, BYU's starting quarterback, he told us that he essentially with NIL has made it so that his wife can stay at home with their daughter. And that's what he said.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going for. I just want to make it, and obviously he's probably on his way to the NFL. I think we all expect that. But
yeah,
the opportunity right now to allow his wife to essentially be a stay-at-home mom, because that's what it appears she wants to do, that's a phenomenal thing.
Oh, absolutely. It just takes a little bit of stress off of these athletes, because it's like more than a full-time job, you know?
Well, yeah. Well, you've been on both sides now. You've been the student athlete route where you had to deal with school and football. You talked about the fact earlier on in the podcast. Now your business, your job is football. You're all in all the time, and you've got to be engaged. So yeah, I think it's absolutely something that these student athletes have to deal with, but it can hopefully lessen the burden on them a little bit financially. All right. So in that spirit, Corbin, with regards to BYU, how, since your time leaving Brigham Young University to now, what have you observed? What have you enjoyed? What's been your observation of the football program?
It's been awesome to watch, to be honest. Like, you know, you had the COVID year, which was awesome. It was cool to see BYU kind of get, I feel like, just the credit they deserve. You know, BYU, a lot of people don't know about BYU, and if they do, they're just like, like small school, whatever, small private school. But it was good to see like all that highlights of BYU and whatnot. And then, everything with, you know, the new conference and whatnot, I'm excited.
Okay, the Big 12, you just mentioned the new conference. They're going to play in the Power 5. How gratifying is that for you as a guy? Obviously, you talked about the fact that with NIL, you're kind of a part of a group that kind of laid the groundwork for student athletes now to benefit from it. I think you can also point to your group of guys being a part of the group that helped lead BYU getting into the Power 5, getting into the Big 12. So how gratifying is it to see the Cougars on the doorstep?
Oh, it's super gratifying. Like, it's just one of those things where it's just you want them to do well. It's almost like watching a sibling or someone like a close friend. You just want all the success in the world for them. So watching BYU go through that and, you know, getting into the Big 12, it's awesome.
Do you wish you could have played at that level, or does it really matter in your mind?
I think for sure it would definitely be fun to have those opportunities, but it's like, oh, you know what? Like, I loved every minute of my time, and so I'm just glad that, you know, it's progressing.
Okay, independence is coming to an end. So you played, if I'm not mistaken, your entire career was during the independent era, right?
Yeah.
Did Bronson play the entire time in the independent era too, or did he end up playing Mountain West at all? Do you recall?
I think he was all independent, to be honest.
Okay, so you never experienced conference format. So you played all over the country with BYU, the independent schedules. How much of that did you enjoy versus do you think it was any type of hindrance? Like, what was your observation of playing that truly national schedule?
I loved, you know, we were able to get big games, and I loved that. You know, that's all you could ask for as an athlete is the opportunity to perform on a bigger stage. And then I think the hard thing was it was in between. Like, you either get a really big game, and then you got kind of these trap games where it's like, okay. And so the thing I love the idea of a conference is that they're all big games in a way, you know?
And that's the thing about this is you go to the Power 5, you have opportunities that BYU hasn't had for, it's been forever. Your dad, when did your dad, Steve Kaufusi, the former BYU defensive line coach, when did your dad graduate from the Y?
Oh, I want to say he graduated in 88, I think.
Okay, so did he come in shortly after they won the national title then, or was he on that team?
I think he was.
I'm going to look this up while we're doing this.
That's a good question. I think he came in right after.
Yeah, well, okay, so he came in an era during when BYU was maybe the last time they were truly on a, I guess, true national stage when you in theory could still win a national title. I think we all acknowledge during the era you played in from the 1990s till next year when BYU finally gets into the Power 5. Let's be real. There was no opportunity for BYU to win another national title.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I just looked it up. Steve Kaufusi played at BYU. Man, Doesn't say when he played. So, okay, well, he was in the NFL draft in 1988. So it was right around that time frame when he got. So he was in that era with BYU right around that national championship season. So I think the bigger point you made there is this just opens up opportunities for BYU, and the games they just mean more. And I'm not trying to steal the SEC's catchphrase. It just means more, but it really does.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I want to talk to you about your expectations for BYU and their season upcoming, the final one of Independence. We'll get to that in a moment. Also need to share a word on our friends over at Intercap Lending. There is a reason that no lender helps more families in the state of Utah with their mortgage needs than our friends at Intercap Lending. And the reason, simply put, Intercap gets deals done, my friends. They feature a quick and simple process. They're closing loans 2 weeks faster than the industry average, and although fast is great, the ultimate goal is to create a stress-free home loan process for you, the home buyer. We all know that interest rates are going up right now, but you can still take advantage of low rates by getting in with our friends at Intercap right now. That's what Locked On's personal loan officer at Intercap Lending, Steve Carter, has been delivering to hundreds of Locked On listeners so far. He'd love nothing more than to earn your business as well. He does an incredible job. You can reach out to him anytime. He's got a direct line he's given us, 385-800-8528. You will not find a more responsive loan officer, I can promise you that. The best part is if you tell them that you're a Locked On Cougars listener, you will get a corporate rate discount from our friends at Intercap Lending. So get with Steve now. That's 385-800-8528. That is his direct line. Or email him, scarter@intercaplending.com. If you'd prefer for us to broker your meeting with him, happy to do that. Email us, lockedonbyu@gmail.com. Happy to get you in touch with Intercap Lending. The best part is they are licensed to help you in more than 40 states nationwide. They're located here in Utah, but they got you guys' back. Also, they have 44 years of experience behind them as well. So this is not a run-of-the-mill organization. They are well-established, and they want nothing more than to earn your business. Reach out to them. That's Intercap Lending. Steve Carter is the guy to call, 385-800-8528. That's Intercap Lending, NMLS number 190465. Intercap Lending is an equal housing lender. All right, let's continue on now with Corbin Kaufusi. Okay, Corbin, the final year of independence, BYU has won 21 games. They are 21-4 in the past 2 years. So, what is your expectation for the Cougars as they go into this upcoming season?
For me, this is kind of the bounce year where it's like you're gonna have a great season that just puts you into the Big 12, and that's what's needed. That's what's expected. So I'm excited for the guys, and I think I stay in contact with a lot of the guys that are still there. And I think everyone kind of feels the same way. Like, this is a big year.
Well, I think that most BYU fans would agree with you because when you've won, you've had back-to-back. You had an 11-win season in 2020. You saw Zach Wilson, and there were 12 former Cougars, your cousin Isaiah Kaufusi among them, who got NFL opportunities off that team. And I remember last year all the talk was, okay, this team's reloading a little bit, and we'll see what they do. And then they go up and put up a 10-win record, a 10-3 record overall. They go 5-0 against the Pac-12. And the thought is, okay, if that's the rebuilding team, what could this team do as they bring back 18 or 19 starters?
Exactly. Like, they have such a good opportunity this year.
Okay, so which game or games are you most looking forward to?
That's a good question. Oh, man, I haven't had a ton of time to look at like the schedule and whatnot, but
okay. I'll help you out.
What are some of the big ones going?
I'll help you out. I'll lobby a couple of them at you. So they have Baylor, who's going to be a future Big 12 opponent. They're coming to BYU. That's the home opener, the second week of the season at LES. That should be a big game. You've got a neutral site game. You're going to Las Vegas to take on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish there at Allegiant Stadium. You have Arkansas coming to Provo as well. And then other games, at Oregon and at Stanford. Those are probably the big five.
Oh, my gosh. Those are some good games. And when you said probably the one that jumps out to me, the two, of course, are the Baylor, because you have to start, your first home game. Yeah. That's huge. That'll set the tone. But then Notre Dame, that is always a huge game. Like, in the history of BYU, back when they used to play Notre Dame, I felt like that was always a huge game. And so I know a lot of dudes that played at Notre Dame, a lot of former teammates on NFL teams and whatnot. So I'm looking forward to that one.
Before we talk a little more about BYU, that's actually an interesting point. I've heard about this, and you can speak to it directly because you've been in professional locker rooms. How much does where you went to college matter in the pro game?
Oh, there's just so much smack talk, even when I was at the Niners, me and Fred like got after a guy on, I think it was Arizona State or something, and made him like have to wear one of our BYU shirts. And there's a lot that goes into it, and I love it because everyone is always like, oh, BYU, like they're that sneaky good team. Like they could get you from nowhere. And so I'm going to have to make some deals with some of my Notre Dame buddies.
Absolutely. By the way, Fred, okay, did you expect that he was going to become maybe the best linebacker in the NFL?
It was one of those things where like you could see that potential, and it was just even better to just watch him get there. It was like one of those things where it's like, I played with him, I knew how great he was, and now it's cool to see that everyone can kind of see that. It's not something that's in the shadows or only those with a trained eye. It's like, no, now he's out on the big stage.
That is true. Okay, so here's my other question. What are the chances? So your younger brother, Devin, I believe he's a senior this year. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah.
So this is his final run with the University of Utah. So here's my question for you, Corbin. This time next year, what are the chances that we have all three Kaufusi brothers, Bronson, yourself, and Devin, all in the NFL together?
That is a great question. That would be awesome. Like, of course, that would be so fun. But yeah, I think it just, if everything kind of has to fall into place, it's an interesting business, but we would love that. I would love that. I hope the best for my brothers. If anyone, I'm like their biggest fans. And so I would love that.
I'm sure, and we'll have to kind of wait and see. Obviously, you'll have a decision to make with regards to the future with the USFL, et cetera. I understand that. And Bronson, I think, is he currently a free agent, or is he signed somewhere?
Yeah, he's a free agent, so just waiting to see.
Yeah, and you and I have talked about this. It's a waiting game, and you got to pounce on opportunities when they come. But
yeah, exactly.
It's kind of one of those crazy things. All right, okay. I got off on a little bit of a tangent there. So you mentioned the fact that there's a big opportunity here for BYU. Is your expectation, I guess, of success for BYU, considering they've won 10-plus games the past 2 years, do they need to win 10 games again this year to really make you feel like, okay, that was a good season?
Ooh, that's always a hard question, because I'm the type of person whereas I hate to put like a certain number, because even though I'm a numbers guy myself, I did statistics at BYU, I did data analytics, so numbers never lie. But after being a player in the game, it's like, I guess it depends on just what games and whatnot. It's more of a feel thing. Like if I see the team and see how they play, like they might not get to 10, but if they play in a certain way, I'll be like, okay, that's okay, It's
a weirdly shaped ball that bounces different ways. We all know that.
Exactly.
You got to have some good fortune along the way, and we'll kind of wait and see how it goes. But would love to catch up with you again as things progress here, Corbin. Please stay in touch and let us know how your professional prospects kind of develop over the coming months. Wishing you the best in recovery, first off, but it's cool to see you on that peg leg. Okay. The other day, I think I saw you. Were you actually on a treadmill with that peg leg?
Yeah. I was like, just for fun, we'll get a couple steps in,
Okay.
Just trying to find ways to do cardio without using my left leg.
I'm sure that it's probably easier said than done in many ways with that, but we wish you nothing but the best. Thank you so much for taking some time to join us here on Locked On Cougars, and we'll look forward to catching up with you down the road, all right?
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
All right, that's going to do it for today's edition of the podcast. A reminder for you guys, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review the show, especially if you're watching on YouTube. It's down in so Corbin, if he points down to that lower right corner, yeah, there we go. There's a little button down there on YouTube that you can subscribe to the show. Please rate and review, like the show, all that fun stuff, and stick with us all week long. Got a lot of great conversations to come from BYU Media Day as well. So we got a lot of that for you guys to be covered, as well as thank you for making us your first listen today. Now go make our friends over the Locked On Big 12 podcast your second listen of the day. It's free and available wherever you get your podcast, just like this one. Until next time, this has been Locked On Cougars.